Hey everybody, welcome back to Tired Old Queen at the Movies. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, hit the bell notification if you want to find out every time we have a new video coming out. Now let's go see the Tired Old Queen at the Movies, Steve HAYES.
Hey, we hadn't done anything by Melville in a long time, so I thought today that we would do Moby Dick. Talk about it. Moby Dick was done by Warner Brothers in 1956, and it was directed by John Huston. It starred Gregory Peck, Richard Basehart, Leo Genn, and Friedrich von Ledebur as Queequeg. Now, John Huston had wanted to shoot Moby Dick for a long, long time. He wanted originally to do it with Walter Huston, his father, who really would have been right, but he really was too old at that time, and he died in 1949. So by the time Huston got around to shooting it, it was like 6 years later, and they needed a star. When he took the project to Warner Brothers, they said, "We will not do it without a name, a box office name." So Huston went to Gregory Peck and convinced Gregory Peck, "Just do it. It's going to be wonderful. You're going to be great in it."
He did not feel the wind or smell the salt air.
Now, I should say at the offset that this was Gregory Peck's least favorite role that he ever did.
It tore my soul and body until they bled into each other.
It was always a sore point, and I'll go on to tell you why. But they lined up Gregory Peck, and they went ahead and shot this thing. Now, to do the screenplay, he got Ray Bradbury, the great sci-fi and horror writer, to do this. And Bradbury said that when Huston brought him the book, Bradbury said, "I've never been able to get through the damn thing. I don't know." And John Huston said, "That's all right. Just do what you can. Get through it what you can and just start typing." So that's what they did. They got this screenplay together.
Bless me, whales can do anything. A whale can jump up like an earthquake.
The plot of Moby Dick is this. Ishmael is a young man who wants to go to sea. Richard Basehart, they got to play Ishmael. Richard Basehart was this ginger actor who came in, who had one of the most incredible speaking voices in films at that time. He always had this amazing voice.
The sea, where each man as in a mirror finds himself.
He played a lot of mentally disturbed people in the late 30s. Like he was in Cry Wolf with Barbara Stanwyck. He was the alcoholic priest we saw in Titanic a few episodes back, who risks his life and goes down to save the guys trapped in the boiler room, So about that time, they brought him back to play Ishmael, and he was really the perfect person.
Call me Ishmael.
He goes to New Bedford, Massachusetts, where all the whalers are, and he gets signed on to this whaler called the Pequod. And the Pequod is captained by Captain
Ahab. Who's Ahab?
Captain Ahab to you.
and has this reputation of being one of the hardest captains to work for. The best friend that Ishmael makes is Queequeg, who is a cannibal from way down in South America, and he is tattooed over his whole body. And to play this part, Huston had become friends with this adventurer. Huston always went through this sort of Hemingway phase. He's off on adventures. Let's go to Africa and film the African Queen. Let's go over here and do this. So he met this guy named Friedrich von Ledebur, who was this Austrian actor who was 6'4", and he cast him as Queequeg with all these tattoos all over him. And he's a fascinating character. He's the main harpoonist when they get to the whalers. He's the one who can shoot it the furthest. And the first mate is Starbuck, is played by Leo Genn, who was a wonderful actor that we saw as one of the doctors in Green for Danger. So he gets them all out, and then Huston decides that he wants to shoot this whole thing on a ship. On an actual ship in the Irish Sea. And everybody got so seasick that they went like $4 million over budget.
You'll write thy last will and testament.
Aye, and do it laughing, sir.
They even got Orson Welles to come in and play and give this sermon, this great sermon with that incredible voice of his.
God heard him when he cried.
And evidently he had such bad stage fright doing this role that he just kept nipping the whole thing. And he rewrote all of his own scenes. So he came on and did this scene, with fire and brimstone and this whole thing. And when he got done, he said, well, I'm going to take this money and I'll finance my stage version of Moby Dick, which he did.
And vomited out Jonah upon the dry land.
I went to New Haven with my friend Anstis to see An Evening with Gregory Peck. It was a wonderful evening. He was just the consummate gentleman. And what they did at that time was that he would come out. He was dressed as Atticus Finch. They played the music from To Kill a Mockingbird. No, 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 no. You know, and he sat down and they showed some clips and then he answered questions for 2 hours from the audience, anything that they wanted to hear. So somebody stood up, of course, and said to him, "What was the worst experience you ever had?" And Peck sat back. He said, "Well, Moby Dick was not a picnic." And they said, "Well, what happened?" He said, "Well, for one thing, I always felt I was too young for it. I was 35 and he was in his late 50s. And I didn't think I was the right age for it." But he said, "Huston talked me into it. He just kept buttering me up and talking me into it." And then Huston never was much of a director for actors. He would just say, well, do what you can. So he said, in this one point, he said they had a styrofoam whale that they were towing with a barge. And John Huston was in his Irish phase. And he decided that he wanted to shoot this thing in the Irish Sea, which has to be the coldest water on the planet. So I'm in this lifeboat, and I've got my leg tied up behind me with this prosthetic peg leg on. And I'm supposed to jump out of this lifeboat onto the whale with a harpoon and stab the whale. So we get ready, and I'm going, oh no. And the whale comes up, he said, and I jump on the whale, and I made it. And I start stabbing away at this whale. And suddenly, out of nowhere, this intense, thick fog comes rolling in. And the whale becomes disengaged from the barge. And I float out into the Irish Sea in the fog, and they lost me for 2 hours. So the person in the audience said, "What did you think about for 2 hours?" And Peck sat back. He said, "Well, it's an interesting thing. Things that go through your mind when you're in a near-death experience. You think a lot about death." So the whole experience was like that. But Gregory Peck never played that many characters like that. And so he never felt comfortable doing this part. But I think it's one of his greatest roles. He's so intense and he's so focused on this. And he just delivers the goods of a haunted man. A man on a mission. A man who just is never going to be able to let go of this until he seeks his revenge. And his revenge is killing that whale. And when the whale comes, it's so exciting. I think you're just going to love Gregory Peck, Leo Genn, Richard Basehart, Friedrich von Ledebur, and Orson Welles in John Huston's classic, Moby Dick.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby.
Oh my gosh! She ran out. She slid between Orson Welles' legs and practically took his off, you know.
Things to eat.